Good morning. This is our Weber County Commission meeting on this Tuesday, May the 4th. It's May the 4th is a popular day for many people who love science fiction. And so we're glad to be meeting on that day, and we welcome those of you who are joining us here in the chambers and those of you who are joining us online. Our Pledge of Allegiance today will be led by Mr. Steve Burton. Our invocation will be given by Ryan Cowley, and our thought of the day will be given by Commissioner Frohr. Mr. Burton?
Please stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance to me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Father in heaven, we thank thee for this day. We thank thee for this opportunity we have to be here at this commission meeting. We are especially grateful, Father, for this country that we have to live in, for the government that we have that is led by regular citizens that do their part to make our lives better. We thank thee for the families that we have and for those around us that love us and support us. We ask thee to bless and strengthen them. We ask thee to bless us with health and strength. We ask thee to bless those that are continuing their work to help us get back to normal times, that they will be inspired in the things that they do, that their minds will continue to be open, that they will be able to find solutions to the things that we're going through. We ask you to bless those that will make decisions during this meeting, that thy Spirit will be with them, that they will be able to make the decisions that will help us to have the freedoms in our lives that we need. And we pray for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Commissioner?
Thank you, Chair. So my thought today goes to the volunteer attitude that we see in this state and county. As you recall, this past Saturday, we were fortunate enough to cook hamburgers for a group up in Eden Park, not the Bowery, but and we were actually there to help support volunteer citizens. First and foremost, for I think this was either the 12th or 13th year anniversary for Weed Day. Now, Weed Day, let's not be confused with what that stands for. This is Dyer's Woad. This is something to do with noxious weeds that we've been working on for a number of years in Ogden Valley to eradicate Dyer's Woad and other plants that impede not only the beauty, but the use of that beautiful valley. And it doesn't come about with government. My thought has always been the government needs to be limited in what they act and what they perform. It comes up to the citizens to be involved with their community, to go out and actively improve their communities. And we saw that happen Saturday morning, both in the eradication of weeds and also trash. Commissioner Harvey, you were there and helped load some of those bags of garbage that came in. I believe we had about, a dump truck or two that were totally filled, both with weeds and garbage that day. And that we can attribute to the volunteers that took time out of their days on a beautiful Saturday morning, without being paid, by the way, to come and help this community. And I've heard a number of times that Utah is rated number 1 in the volunteer hours that are put forth. I truly believe that. And that's what I think makes our county and our state great, is that we take a personal interest. We don't look for government to solve all our problems. We go out and solve them ourselves. With that, as you know, I usually have a couple of quotes, if I might. And one of the quotes comes from a gentleman by the name of Rob McKenna, who you probably know. And he states, "You can study government and politics in school, but the best way to really understand the process is to volunteer your time." So I would ask those out there that think they totally understand government and politics to volunteer some time, get involved with your planning commissions, get involved with attending your public meetings, Volunteer your time so you totally understand it. A lot of us think we understand it. A lot of us don't take the time to fully understand, to read the ordinances that we look at and the laws that are passed. Believe me, if you take that time, you'll not only educate yourself, you'll have a better understanding, and you'll help your community members better understand past good ordinance and statute. Winston Churchill, one of my favorites, said, "You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give." So again, I encourage all the citizens listening, all the people out there, to think more about what they can give and less about what they can get. It will make your community better. It'll make our county better. It will make our state better. So that's my thought, Commissioner Harvey.
Wonderful thoughts. Thank you, Commissioner Farrar. And I also want to compliment, when we were up there without volunteer effort, your generosity, because I know out of your own pocket you paid for lunch for all those folks and hamburgers, and Chef Commissioner Scott Jenkins was our great cook up there and did a wonderful job donating his time and cooking a lot of hamburgers and hot dogs for the parents and kids and everyone who came, and it was really a nice day. It was a beautiful day too. It was great to be up there. So thank you. Thanks to all the people who helped.
Appreciate you taking your time to come up as well. It was very much appreciated by the folks up there.
Sure.
So, Mr. Chair, I've got to run up my office and get some names real quick for an agenda item. I left them on my desk up there. So I'll be right down while you do public comment.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to continue on with the agenda. The next item on our agenda is item E like echo. Our public comments, we ask that you limit those comments to 3 minutes, and that you don't repeat yourselves. If the message has been given that you have new content for us, if you'll direct the commission with those comments. Before we'll because of what's going on over there, we'll ask the live first. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment? Carolyn? State your name and the city where you live, if you would, please.
You already know my name.
I know,
All right.
but that's for the
Yes.
record. Thank you.
My name is Carolyn Leetuveninkis from North Ogden, and it's actually nice that you recognize me here. That means I'm doing the right thing by coming and being part of the system, and I appreciate your comments about that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Farrar. It is due to our lack of paying attention to these things that our government has gone a little bit off the range. And so the only way that we're going to rein that back in is for people like me and you to all get involved. And thank you for your efforts over the weekend. That sounded like it was a lot of fun, and I'm sorry to have missed it. Okay, can you hit the timer?
I've already started
Oh, really?
it. Sorry.
Okay, I'll have to talk fast. So today I'd like to draw your attention to the significant censorship going on today if you're not already aware. In the packet I created for you is a sampling of articles related to censoring by social media. While it's originally hoped that the internet and the social media platforms would increase free speech and make it truly attainable for everyone, these companies have chosen to use their political ideologies to censor information that differs from their narrative. I had this happen to me upon returning from Washington, D.C. in January. Facebook had already been shadow banning my account and during the post prior to the election, and these social media accounts flat out suspended me upon my return. But my main issue is censorship at school. So friends and I were recently prevented from handing out flyers at WEBER High. These flyers were an effort to inform our young people that there is other information available about the dangers of the jab, as well as adverse medical events, and the United States Code designed to allow access to, as well as protect people from unapproved yet medical devices and therapies. By requiring informed consent of all parties, both the healthcare workers involved as well as the receiving patient. But none of this information is trickling down to the kids. The school seems to hold the market on providing authorized narrative info, irrespective of the dangers associated with an unproven and gene-altering therapy. Most of the students we spoke to have already received the jab. They were required to do so by their teacher, after school's activities instructors, or their part-time job employers. Contrary to what the WEBER staffing people that challenged us on the grounds said.
Weber School District staffing?
WEBER High, at WEBER High, yeah. So there are no long-term studies on the permanent effects of these gene-altering therapies. The kids are the long-term study. I must refer you back to the Nuremberg Code that I provided to you in weeks past. This is exactly what happened to 11 million people killed in World War II. Medical procedures, therapies, devices forced on people without informed consent. It's abhorrent to me that the school's faculty has unrestricted full-time access to the kids. But peaceful, neutral, non-belligerent people like my friends and I, we're called to danger. We're dedicated to preserving life, but we're not allowed to have a voice in these schools. I call on the Weber County Commissioners, gentlemen, to insist that Weber School District, which is a corporation providing services to Weber County, provide balanced information on the true risks, options, and obtain genuine informed consent from the students in the area schools.
Thank you, Carolyn. Appreciate your comments today.
And thank you for listening. And you missed it, I told a joke.
Sorry.
Thanks, Carol.
Do we have anyone else in the audience that would like to address the commission? Seeing none, what about online? Shelley, do we have any comments online? Great. Commissioners, we'll move then from our public comments to our consent items. Item number 1 is a request for approval of to ratify warrants 3783 through 3827, 458, 199 through 458, and 81 and 82 in the amount of $4,979,429.34, dated the 27th of April, 2021. Now, these are being ratified, Commissioners, because we did not hold a commission meeting, formal commission meeting last. I'm sorry for the sound, folks. We didn't hold a commission meeting last week, and so these are ratified. Item number 2 is a request for approval of warrants. It's still a little hot, Fatima. Item number 2 is a request. Item number 2 is a request for approval of warrants 3828, 3841, and 458, 459. Sorry, folks. I'll read item number 2 again. Okay, we've got help on the way. For the sake of this meeting, I'm going to tip the mic up and speak loud. Item number 2 is a request for approval of warrants 3828 through 3841 and 458, 459 through and including 458, 571 in the amount of $1,306,379.46. Item 3 is a request for approval of the purchase orders in the amount of $421,463.54. Item 4 is a request for approval of minutes for the meeting held on April 20th, 2021. Item 5 is a request for approval of new business licenses. Item 6 is a request for approval of the following ramp contracts. Projects approved on March the 2nd. The Eccles Art Center exhibits, Eccles Art Center education, Imagine Ballet for the 2021 season, Ziegfeld Theater for the arts education and Ziegfeld Theater for the 2021 season, Beverly's Terrace Plaza Playhouse for the 2021 season, and Chamber Orchestra Ogden for the 2021 season. Item 7 is a request for approval of retirement agreements signed between Weber County and the following: Wayne Moss, Scott Hegstrom, Joe Olson, Deborah Nielsen, and Sherry Career. Item 8 is a request for approval to renew a contract signed between Weber County and OnSol for the Code Red Emergency Alert System. Item 9 is a request for approval of a change order number 3, contract 2020-8 with EK Bailey for the Sheriff's Office Warehouse. Item 10 is a request for approval to terminate the power purchase agreement with Rocky Mountain Power dated December 16, 2004 or 2004. Item 11 is a request for approval of the first addendum to the wireless communication tower lease with Liberty Broadband And item 12 is a request for approval of the First Amendment to the solid waste collection and disposal contract between Weber County and Waste Management. Commissioners, item 13 is a request for approval of a contract signed between Weber County and the University of Utah Department of Pediatrics for a donation of 500 Noxalone and Narcan kits with potential of additional kits as needed. And item 14 is a request for approval of amended contract signed between Weber County and Tangram Design LLC for professional services for the Ogden Valley wayfinding signage plan to compensate for redesign, bid assistance, and construction administration oversight. Commissioners, questions on any of the 14 items presented today?
Question, Mr. Chair.
Go
from
ahead,
my-
Commissioner Farrar.
On the wayfinding signage, I just had a question. We had some discussion with the Forest Service the last week or so regarding signage, and I just wanted to make sure that whoever's taking charge of this, Scott, has had some conversation with the Forest Service. They seem to be quite concerned that we're not going to meet their standard sign requirement as set down by the feds. Can you enlighten me on that, Scott?
So I know there was a couple of emails going back and forth between Charlie and somebody in the Trails division. Charlie is
Commissioner
on
Farrar, I'm online right now too.
Charlie, go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah, that's Charlie.
Perfect. Scott, didn't want to put you in the middle of that if you didn't need to. I'm actually in the middle of drafting an email over to Sean Harwood in the Forest Service as well. If you look at the MUTCD chapter 2D.5, it allows for community wayfinding signage that is not the same as some of those brown, white on brown signs or white on green signs. We actually went through this approval process with UDOT when we discovered that we couldn't change some of their green signs. We also know we can't change some of the Forest Service brown signs, but the rest of our signage, being part of a community wayfinding signage plan, does comply with section 2D.5 of the MUTCD. Mr. Harwood's concern was that it didn't comply with 2M, which is for recreation and civic signs. If you look at 2D and 2M, 2D essentially allows the type of wayfinding signage that we're doing in place of the recreation signs in 2M. We just can't do it along a freeway or expressway.
The highway's okay.
So, Charlie, you feel that we're in compliance. I just don't want to spend any money and find out we're in non-compliance with either UDOT or the Forest Service.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, UDOT's already approved the plan.
Okay.
They're comfortable with everything that we have there, and we won't be changing any of the Forest Service signs unless the Forest Service authorizes it. It'd be actually really great if we got a little bit of money from the Forest Service to modify their signs.
Great, thank you.
But
Thank
We
you.
don't have that now.
Great.
You bet.
Answered my question.
Any other questions, Commissioner Farrar, on the other consent items? Commissioner Jenkins, any questions on the consent items?
So on this wayfinding, we will be involved as we go further down the line.
That's right. So this is the first phase, and this amended contract is for just the construction administration of it.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Commissioners, with no other comments in the consent items, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Farrar, a second by Commissioner Jenkins. Are you able to pick up the audio okay? Bill, you okay? Are they hearing it online okay? It's low. It is low in here as well, too. It's best we can do today, folks, for those of you in here in the galley and online. So sorry about that. I'll place that motion. You know what? I do want to go to Ricky. Thank you for reminding me of that. Mr. Hatch, our clerk auditor, would you comment on the consent items today, please?
Yes, and with it being May the 4th, you may or may not see a Mandalorian roaming my office periodically throughout the day today.
Thank you very much. Well, if we can't get the Mandalorian, can we just get the DeLorean?
Yes, but this one is from a man, so it's a Mandalorian.
Okay.
We issued 31 purchase orders over the past couple of weeks for $421,000. Just over a third of that amount, or $148,000, is for the Golden Spike, which will go towards replacing their sound system as well as their paging system. 26%, or $109,000, is for paramedic to purchase a cabin chassis for the Ogden location, as well as a rescue vehicle for Weber Fire. And then we had two at 9% or $39,000. The first is for the sheriff's office to purchase a drone, and second is for the transfer station, which is primarily asphalt work, but also lab testing, fuel, and staffing. And then 8% or $33,000 is for the library to purchase an iMac, as well as audiovisual materials. And then 6% or $25,000 is for the conference center, which will go towards elevator repairs, recycling stations, and some security services. We had two check runs. The first check run is from a week ago. We issued 307 checks for $5 million. Half of that $5 million amount, $2.5 million, was the final design payment for the bus rapid transit system, and that's paid for by the 1% transportation tax that comes through the Weber Area Council of Governments. 17% or $826,000 is health insurance for employees and select retirees that are still in the system. 9% or $427,000 is for the jail, and that was almost exclusively for nursing services, but also to purchase food and medical services. 6% or $306,000 is for paramedic services. Our check run this week, 127 checks we issued for $1.3 million. 39% of that amount, or $515,000, was for the sheriff's warehouse construction. 31% or $401,000 is a distribution of ramp awards to multiple entities, about 20 entities. 9% or $117,000 is for the library, which was mostly for an annual software license, but also to purchase books and materials. And then 8% or $106,000 was for the fleet to purchase a Mack truck.
Great, Mr. Hatch, thank you very much. Commissioners, after that, are there any comments for Mr. Hatch? We've received a motion and a second on this, and hearing no comments, I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move to item G like golf on our agenda. Our first item.
I didn't hear a vote from you, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry. Aye. Thank you. We'll move to item G on our agenda, the action items. The first is a request for approval of recommendation from our Weber County Recreation, Arts, Museum, and Parks for the 2021 Easy Gramp Awards. We're going to hear from Carla Woodward today, who's the chair of the Recs and Parks. Ms. Woodward, welcome. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you, and thanks for letting RAMP come before the commission today. Jeremy sends his regrets.
We'll pull that mic a little closer to you. Thank
Better?
you. Better. Thank
All
you.
right. So this year for our Easy Grants, we had 65 qualified applicants, and they submitted requests for about $125,000 worth of programs. In Easy Grants this year, we had $60,000 in available funds, but we were able to roll over $38,000 from a previous leftover amount. And so we ended up funding.
This is Charlie.
Charlie, excuse me, Charlie E., you're not muted. Will you please mute your Zoom? Thank you, Carla. Sorry for the interruption.
No worries. So we were able to fund 52 different projects totaling about $98,000. We funded everything from trails to kids' summer programs to art fairs, also some concerts. So you'll see a lot of great activities out in the community throughout the rest of the year. We did end up having a balance of $317,000 that is going to be rolling over into 2022, and that's just a combination of the amount of projects that were put in under the regular programs that you guys have already reviewed and approved funding for. So do you guys have any questions about any of the projects we recommended funding this year?
Commissioners, any projects for Ms. Woodward?
No.
I want to compliment you and the team, Carla, Jeremy, and the rest of them. Just a wonderful job. This is, I know these aren't the big dollar ones, but there's a lot of them in there, and they do a lot of good for a lot of different places. We really appreciate you and your all the volunteer service you're providing.
Thank you. I'll pass that along. And everybody on the committee really, really loves RAMP and loves Weber County and being able to see those funds put to good use in the community.
That's great.
That's great.
Commissioners, hearing the report, are there any questions? If no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve G1, the RAMP Awards. And I just want to say in this motion that I'm really impressed with the time and commitment and all the effort you folks put into that
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Faur, second?
I'll second that with a comment, and we think we can look at the ramp board for this county, as I talked about volunteers earlier this morning, as being a prime example of what volunteers accomplish and the good that comes about from their work. So that's my second.
Great. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Item 2 is a request for approval of the final reading of an ordinance of the County Commissioners of Weber County amending the fees for Weber County Transfer Station, Section 16-2-9 for the solid waste fees. Sean Wilkinson.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Mr. Wilkinson.
Just by way of note, the pounding that occasionally you're hearing is the new cladding being installed on the building. So I apologize if it's an interruption, but it's a good step forward.
Thank you. That's great news.
Commissioners, this is the second and final reading of an ordinance to amend some fees out at the transfer station. The first item is a fee reduction from $46.10 per ton down to $40.49 per ton for our construction and demolition waste.
Sorry, Mr. Wilkinson, did you say that was a reduction?
I certainly did.
Thank you.
And that matches our general waste fee. So those will be the same. And the second change is the implementation of a $5 per load fee for household hazardous waste that will help us cover the disposal costs of that waste.
Great. Commissioners. Commissioner Jenkins, this is in your portfolio. Any comments there?
Sure. My comments are, we've done really good out at the transfer station the last few years. John's just really done a good job. And so we're able to decrease fees a little. And the $5 fee, this has to do with the disposal of things such as paints and different type items. And so it's good. I'm supportive of this, and I want to give John Watson a attaboy for the good job he's doing out there.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Faur?
It's always great to see a decrease in fees. So,
Yes.
and I think this is going to make their job at the transfer station a little easier to manage as well.
Correct.
So
Yes.
both good things.
How do we keep doing it? We just keep decreasing fees. Taxes. How do we do it? Good people.
Good people.
Good
That's
people.
right.
Commissioners, I'll place this motion for, or I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we approve the new fee ordinance at the transfer station. That is ordinance number 10.
I'll second.
Ordinance number 10. Great. I have a motion and a second. I'll place the motion. Fatima?
Commissioner Faur,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins, Chair Harvey.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkinson. Mr. Cowley. Item 3 is a request for approval of the first reading of the ordinance and update to clarify campaign finance reporting for county and school board candidates. Well, this will be interesting.
Yeah, with all the Star Wars jokes, I'm beginning to wonder if I'm at the Jedi Council or the Commission meeting this morning. So this ordinance is the same one that I came and presented at a work session a short time ago. And it's been quite a while since we've updated the candidate campaign finance portion of our code. And it's time to just clarify, simplify it, and harmonize it with state law again. State law, this is one of the few areas that state law gives counties the latitude to add additional requirements to the reporting, as well as add additional penalties on top of what are already established in state law. And the ordinance that you have before you would apply to all county level candidates and to local school boards. So it would not apply to those running for state or federal office. And basically, most of the concepts in the ordinance stay the same. Campaign finance reports will still be due a week before each election and within 30 days afterward. But there's just a lot of definition changes. We get rid of some of the concepts of the campaign finance committee and different things like that candidates just aren't using now. Most of them are doing it themselves, and it just really was a confusing ordinance for the candidates to follow. State law currently delineates some very stiff penalties for candidates who fail to file financial disclosures. And the biggest one is removal from the ballot. But the one issue that we've encountered is after an election is over and either a candidate loses or after the election's over in November, there's really no teeth or way that we can get candidates to file those reports. And it puts a burden on our office to follow up with them and get those in. And so one of the biggest changes in this ordinance that does conceptually change the process is now we're going to impose a $100 fine at the time that they miss the deadline. And then there will also be an additional $100 fine each week thereafter, up to a total of $500. And if a candidate fails to file that financial report, then at that point they would be precluded from filing for office again in the county or school board level until they until they pay the fine and either submit that financial report that they failed to file, or give us a statement with a reason as to why they missed it. And with that, a promise to file all future financial reports. So it won't prevent them from running for office, but they just basically need to take care of it and recognize that, hey, the last time you ran for office, you did not comply with the financial reporting. And it's an important component for the public to know and understand where candidates are getting their money from and who they're getting it from. And so that's really the purpose of the financial reports. And then any of the fines that are collected go directly to the general fund. So they don't go into our budget or the clerk auditor's budget, they go to the general fund. So that's conceptually what it is. Are there any questions on that?
Commissioners, questions for Mr. Cowley?
Not for me.
I have a statement. To me, Mr. Cowley, if a candidate or a potential candidate can't keep the simple commitment of financial disclosure, how's he or she supposed to run an office? You know, it's a very simple thing. So personal integrity is a big deal for me, and I'm glad you're taking the steps necessary in updating. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion regarding item number 3 on our agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance to update and clarify campaign finance reporting for county and school board with the comment. Again, Ryan, thank you for looking at this. I think this is a clarification. As you well know, I've always obviously very much in support of going to an electronic system similar to what the state. It's just easier to manage, easier for the candidate and for the public. But we're not quite there yet, but this is a step in the right direction. So that's my motion.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Frohr. Commissioner Jenkins, any?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for item number 3. Mr. Cowley, thank you for your presentation. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4, Mr. Cowley. You're a presenter again as a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County, K&H Election Services for election services and ballot printing. Mr. Cowley.
All right. So over the course of the last year, election integrity kind of took a front row seat, not only nationally, but in the state and the county as well. And we've worked hard to develop robust layers of protections to keep our elections secure. We currently contract with K&H lithographers to print and mail our ballots. And over the years that we've used them all the time that we've been doing vote by mail here in Weber County. We've developed policies, procedures, and standardized interfaces unique to K&H to ensure that our ballots are secure, that voters receive the correct ballot style, and that they receive them in a timely manner. And then we've also worked hard to make sure that the ways that we interface and exchange data is secure and protected. And this relationship that we've had with our print vendor has definitely been a benefit to the public and to our county and the success of our elections. As you know, elections have become extremely contentious and very high profile. And at this point, we feel it's in the public interest to maintain a consistent, trusted ballot printing partner over the next 2 federal election cycles, which also these elections promise to be contentious and high profile as well. I don't think it's going to get any calmer on the election front over the next 4 years. So with that, we believe it's in the best interest of the county to essentially renew the contract that we have with K&H over that time period.
Thank you, Commissioners. Any comments? Commissioner Jenkins, I'm going to go to you.
No, none.
Okay. Commissioner Frohr?
No, I'm ready to make a motion whenever you're ready.
I'm ready to receive a motion.
Okay. Motion to approve the contract by and between Weber County and K&H Election Services for election services and ballot printing, as presented by Mr. Cowley.
Motion accepted? A second? Before I call for the motion, I would like to make just a brief statement on this. I know that the election was even challenged, some of the things going on were challenged by Commissioner Jenkins. That's why I kind of pointed to you at first.
Yeah.
Were you satisfied with the answers that you got from Mr. Cowley and Mr. Hatch?
Oh, yeah. Well, we locally didn't have any problems to speak of. And I think Ricky and Ryan were aggressively challenged many times in some of the things they did. And I felt very comfortable with the result and the answers that were offered. And I feel really good about our system. Of course, I wish some of the other states and counties across the country could have answered with equally as good answer and confidence in the system. They couldn't. But anyway, and you see some of those states now, like Arizona, they're in the middle of an audit that's going all the way to the roots of it. And I couldn't be happier because this needs to take place across the country. But anyway, I want to personally commend Ryan for the work he's done. You've added a ton of integrity to the system, and he's done a great job.
I'm glad you said that. Thank you, because that's where I was headed on this. You know, while we as county commissioners, your local county commissioners, can have little effect federally, nationally, or even in the state, we affect what's happening here. And that comes basically positively because of Mr. Hatch, you and your team, Mr. Cowley, you and your team. I have all the confidence in the world in what we're doing locally. Having been watching what you do, but also being a candidate on the other side. I'm very impressed that you've even been proactive in producing a video, an instruction video on actually what happens in the detail and how you take every precaution necessary to keep things so tightened up and so secure, and so there's not duplications or any hanky-panky going on. And if there is, that's caught, it's prosecuted, it's dealt with the way it should be. And you've just done a wonderful job. I have every confidence in the world. I wish that others across the state and the country could feel the confidence that we do. You guys are wonderful examples. I think, as far as I'm concerned, the best in the land, in all the land that we have, and we're really lucky to have you. And I want to make that statement loud and clear. You guys do a wonderful job, and I'm proud to rub shoulders with you, doing such a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
In fact, for those of you in the audience, if you'll join me in giving them a round of applause. Thank you. Sorry to take that personal privilege, but I appreciate it. We have a motion and a second on this, item number 4, for this service, and so I'll place that vote for motion now, motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Cowley.
Thank you.
Item number 5, Ms. Skeen, is a request for approval of the resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Weber County to appoint trustees to the West Warren Park Board. Ms. Skeen.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I received notice from the West Warren Park Board that they had a position that expired December 31st of 2020. They also have expanded their board from 3 members to 5 members. So there are 3 vacancies on this board currently. And you have received 6 applications, which you have in front of you, to appoint to this board.
So you said 3 vacancies?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Chris Clem is who expired.
Okay.
He has reapplied, and then there's 2 new positions to fill.
Okay, Commissioners, both of you have had time to review them. I'll entertain some suggestions or conversations here, or even in terms of a motion.
Mr. Chair, I've been involved out there and talked to several on this, and I'd like to make a motion that we appoint to this board Kaylin Ingram, Jerry Jacob, and Tim Christensen.
Okay. Did you get those, Fatima?
And I want to declare a conflict of interest on Tim because he's my son-in-law. So there you go.
Okay. Noted, thank you. Commissioner Faur?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for those names.
And I believe it's Jeremy Jacob. Did you say that, or Jerry Jacob?
Oh, I said Jerry. I'm sorry. It's Jeremy. Yeah.
Jacob.
I said that wrong.
Great.
It's Resolution 17.
Resolution 17, I have a motion and a second, and Fatima, I'll call for that vote now.
Commissioner Faur,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins,
I with conflict.
Chair Harvey.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 6 is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Stirrin' Dirt Racing for the May Mania Demolition Derby to be held at the Golden Spike Event Center. Mr. Olson?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
So this contract, the reason why it's before you today is because we structure it a little different. Instead of going line item by line item, we've done a bulk price. Over the last couple of years, we took how much revenue we generated off of the rental price of the outdoor stadium and the stuff that comes with it. And so we found a pretty fair price, seeing that we're still in the COVID situation, not knowing if we can maximize seating and everything. We felt like it was a fair way to go.
When you say COVID situation, groups more than 50 is
Correct.
required.
Yeah, there's still a little
By the
bit of
state.
spacing and some stuff that we need to keep in mind. If that is alleviated between now and the 29th, we'll see where that goes.
Very good. Commissioners, questions for Mr. Olson? I want to make the statement in as much as this is in my portfolio that I don't have any questions regarding this. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the contract by and between Weber County and Stirrin' Dirt Racing for the May Mania Demolition Derby to be held at the Golden Spike Event Center.
Have a motion? And a second, I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Olson.
Thank you.
Item number 7 is a request for discussion and or action on a request for final approval of Aspen Ridge at Powder Mountain subdivision, consisting of 11 lots located approximately 6152 Powder Ridge Road. Mr. Burton, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
And I think, hey, Bill, could we get that plat on the screen for the Commissioners to see? I just wanted you to see the plat in case you had any questions, but this is the final process for this subdivision to be recorded. So as was stated in the title, this is a subdivision of 11 lots. It's located in the Powder Mountain area. Now, it's not in the Summit Powder Mountain Development Agreement area. It's on the outskirts of that. It's in the FR3 zone. So you've got 11 lots that are about 6,000 or more square feet that'll have single-family dwellings on them. The Planning Commission approved this plat back in January of 2019. Since then, the developer's been working on getting a financial guarantee to us and also getting us the improvement plans for the infrastructure. All of the county review agencies have approved this. We've also reached out to the Water and Sewer District. They've also approved this. With this request is also a request for approval of an improvement guarantee for the remaining improvements to be installed. That's in the amount of $456,357. And staff is recommending approval of this as well as the Planning Commission. I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions for Mr. Burton?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So
Commissioner
you
Jenkins.
say this is not in that new fee area that we approved?
Sorry, this is not in the zoning area for SMHG, the Summit Powder Mountain. They've got their own DRR1 zoning. And
Does this connect to that road that the county owns up there?
Summit Pass?
Uh-huh.
It does.
But it's not in the fee area that the road's in.
I apologize. I don't think I fully understand your question.
We had a snow removal fee that we put on that area up there last year. Is this in that area?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's all.
Sounds
I
like it
wanted
is.
to know.
Should be, Scott.
That's what I thought. But it
Anything
didn't show
off
it
the
on
road?
All right, I'm okay with that.
Mr. Burton is the developer here, and would he or she like to make any comments?
And they are here. I don't know if they'd like to. It sounds like they're good.
Very good. Great. Commissioners, any other questions? Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve action item G7, which is the approval of Aspen Ridge at Powder Mountain subdivision consisting of 11 lots.
Very good. I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for that development. There's no other questions. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is a request for approval of a resolution of the County Commissioners of Weber County approving the 2020 Municipal Wastewater Planning Program, the annual report. Mr. Chad Meyerhofer.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Wow. Welcome. What do you got for us
Good to be
today?
here. Yeah, so what you have before you is the 2020 Municipal Wastewater Planning Program annual report. We go through things and look at the collection system, see if there was any issues with it, as well as the financial system. Where our system is fairly new, most of our stuff's in fairly good shape. The financial aspect, we are going to be looking at the fees and doing a rate study, just because the fees at Central Weber have been going up, so we need to ensure that we're collecting proper amount. So looking for approval of it, unless the commissioners have any questions in addition to that.
Questions for Mr. Meyerhofer? Commissioners?
One question, Mr. Chair. So
Please.
I believe this was discussed at one of our work sessions, and we're looking at our fee structure that would have to be approved basically by the state.
We didn't necessarily discuss this, but we did discuss the rates and stuff going up on certain systems. It would be approved through you guys, through the commission, as we'd bring those before you for approval of those.
So this would be your recommendation for us that would not be involving the state with approval.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
It's all done just through the
All
county
right.
here.
I just wanted to verify.
Yeah, we don't go through public commissions or anything like that on it.
Got it.
I want to make sure that the rates that are approved are justified, and you can, we'll certainly have Mr. Parks and Mr. Hatch's input on that to withstand any audit, local or state, given. Thank you.
Will do.
Very good. Commissioners,
Thanks,
any other
Commissioners.
comments? I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the resolution of the County Commissioners of Weber County approving the 2020 Municipal Wastewater Planning Program Annual Report as presented by Mr. Chad Meyerhofer.
That's resolution number 18. Is that correct?
Yes.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. I'll place that motion for vote. Fatima?
Commissioner Farrar,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins.
Aye.
Chair Harvey.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 9 on our agenda is a request for a contract by and between Weber County and Graphic House LLC for the engineering, fabrication, delivery, and installation of Ogden Valley wayfinding signage. It's Phase 1. Scott Perks, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioners. So this is phase 1 of the Ogden Valley Wayfinding and Signage project. We put this bid out 3 times in the last 2 years. So this is our 3rd bid effort in which we've had 2 bidders come back, ASI Signage out of Atlanta, Georgia, and Graphic House out of Wausau, Wisconsin. Graphic House came back quite a bit cheaper than ASI, and we had a positive recommendation from our design consultant to select Graphic House as the firm to provide that first phase of signage. The first phase of vehicular signs is a total of 33 signs, and then the first phase of the bike pedestrian signage is 12 signs. On this particular contract, between those 2 systems, the vehicular and bike ped, those signs, total contract amount was $447,597. And we had Graphic House notified as an intent to award that bidder, but we need to go through this process to sign the contract. Do you have any questions on this project?
Thank you. No, I don't have any questions. Commissioner Jenkins, Commissioner Froh.
Nope.
Questions I have is, this is $47,000, about $48,000 more than the money we have, right?
It is, yep.
Well, I have been shown this contract, or these folks this is actually going to be implemented. So they're going to come out here and be installing these.
They'll install the signs that are in the UDOT rights of way, and then we will be using our roads crew and the trails crews to install in our rights of way and on the trails.
How are you going to pay for the extra money?
So we do have some grant funds in the amount of $50,000 that are contingent on us getting this first phase of trail signs installed before mid-June. And so there's a little bit of a time constraint that we're trying to get this first phase of at least bike and pedestrian signs installed to secure those funds. We do have Charlie on the line, and he's a little bit closer on the budget than I am, so he might be able to chime in with some of these budget questions.
You want to hear from Charlie, Commissioner Jacobs?
Do you want me to talk about budget? Okay.
Sorry, commissioners, I can answer some questions. Give me just 1
No,
second.
we're okay, Charlie. We're not calling on you right yet. Thank you.
Perfect.
Any other questions, Commissioner Jacobs? No? Okay. Commissioner Thor, any questions?
No, thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'll move to approve the contract by and between Weber County and the Graphic House LLC for engineering, fabrication, delivery, and installation of the Ogden Valley wayfinding signage, Phase 1.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
There's a second.
A motion is second. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Commissioners, that concludes our action items for today. Item number H on our agenda is a public hearing. I'll request a motion to adjourn our public meeting and convene a public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second that motion. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We're now in a public hearing. This is a public hearing to consider and take action on a request to vacate a public utility easement located along the side of the lot number 14 Snowflake Subdivision Phase 3. Mr. Burton?
Yes. Commissioners, I think you've seen quite a few of these vacating these utility easements this year and last year. What this is, it's similar to those others that you've seen. A 10-foot utility easement along the side property line of this lot. The owner would like to vacate that so that they can amend their lot boundary and build a little bit closer to the property line. We have sent out notice to the affected entities. Typically, it's the utility companies. We haven't received any letters or notifications from them that they do not want this area to be vacated. Our engineers have also approved this here as county staff. One thing I will note is the Powder Mountain Sewer District does have a line that runs along this area. They are comfortable with vacating this, and they're actually moving forward with the applicant to relocate their line so that the owner can build closer to the property line. We've sent out proper notice as required by state code. We have prepared an ordinance that would effectively vacate this utility easement. We're recommending that you approve that ordinance. I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Commissioners, questions?
Chair.
Please.
So, I'm not sure I heard that right. You said that they have a sewer line in that easement. Then why would you vacate it if you have a sewer line in it?
So the only reason the sewer district is comfortable vacating it is because the applicant is moving the sewer line to reflect the where the new property line will be.
Okay. All right. That's all I want to know.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Question, if I might. So, not on this particular request, but in general, we've seen a number of these requests come forward over the past 6 months, maybe a year. My question is, wouldn't it be easier to deal with this at the time of the plat approval rather than just automatically create utility easements that we now later have to vacate and go through the process of sending out notices, time-consuming, money spent? Wouldn't it be better to spend a little time on the front side and really determine whether that utility easement is needed or not? And I've filed a number of plats. It just seems to be standard language. My point is, if we don't need it and we can't verify that we're going to need it in the future, it would save time not to require it on the on the filed plat. Can you make me understand why we need to have
Sure.
utility easements we later vacate?
Yeah. So it is currently the policy of our department to not require unnecessary utility easements.
Okay.
Typically, we only want to see them along the front where the streets are.
Right.
This plat was done in I think the late 90s when that wasn't the county policy. I think you just had a request to put utility easements everywhere.
Right.
And now we're kind of seeing, we didn't really need to do that. So plats, today and as of the last couple of years, we don't actually require utility easements where they're not necessary. So we have been looking at that very carefully.
Good to know. And if I would have filed the plat in the last couple of years, I probably would have known the answer to that. But I go back too far. So yeah, and it made no sense to require utility easements around every perimeter on those lots. So
Right.
I'm glad to hear you're doing that.
Cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Great.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions on this presentation? Okay, great. We'll move on then to Mr. Yaverino. Felix, this is a presentation or a public hearing to consider and take action on a request to vacate the 10-foot public utility easement located on both sides of the shared lot between lots 2 and 3 of Sundance Ridge subdivision, EV 2021-4.
Yes, correct. Commissioners, good morning.
Good
So,
morning.
just to kind of give a quick little bit of background on this particular situation, you have a property owner named Mr. Wyatt Burton, and he owns both lots 2 and 3. And what he would like to do is design a home and place it in his best location, and it happens to straddle the property line. So the planning division is able to work him through a couple applications to allow him to do so, one of them being this vacating of the easement. Now, not the entire easement is being vacated, just the portion that the engineering has approved to be vacated. So, yeah, with that, staff recommends approval, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Basically, Mr. Yaverino, what's happening is he has 2 lots. He wants to put his home right in the middle of them, both of them. So he gives up the right to develop on one of his lots so that he can place his home in the most ideal spot that he feels is necessary.
Yes.
That's all we're doing.
That's right.
Great. Commissioners, questions for Mr. Yaverino?
I do. Not so much a question, as I'd like to make a comment. I appreciate planning working with these folks and helping them use their property that they own and have rights on. And instead of just saying, no, 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 you've said, look, if you do this, you do this, you'll be able to use that. And I appreciate that because that's what most people want when they come in to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know that this is their desire and how can I accomplish that, and you help them do that. So thank you very much, Felix. I appreciate this. This makes me happy.
Great. That's under your department, your direction?
Yeah, I'd make
I'd say that's a leadership down type, but it's doing good. Way to go.
I don't know about that.
Attaboy. Well, just let me enjoy my opinion right now. I'd appreciate it. Go ahead and make a motion.
No.
We're still in the public
We
hearing.
got to
That's right. I'm sorry. That's
wait
right.
a second.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I looked a little too much grain this morning. Okay.
Cut you back on the feed a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's it. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Yaverino?
Comment.
Go ahead.
I just want to second what Commissioner Jenkins said. This is really just making sure that we understand the public needs, being user-friendly in our departments. Sometimes government's accused of just the opposite. And I'm grateful that our planning commission looks at all sides of this and really does what's right for private property, at the same time protecting the interest of those people around them and whatever zoning implications may apply. So you do a great job.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Great. Terrific. Moving on to the next item on our public hearing, which is a presentation by Mr. Scott Park. This is a public hearing to discuss amendments to the operating and capital budget of Weber County for the 2021 calendar year. This is exciting, isn't it, though?
You saved the best for last. Yeah. Okay, what you have before you, commissioners, are adjustments to the 2021 operating and capital budgets. We did a summary schedule as we normally do. I just wanted to hit a couple of the highlights. First, we received a $1 million grant from the State Department of Health to help with the COVID vaccination program at the Weber Morgan Health Department. So you'll see a request to increase both revenues and expenditures by $1 million, basically be able to accept and spend that grant. We did have some additional increases after the budget was passed in 2020 for the 2021 calendar year. We made some market adjustments to the transfer station personnel to keep good staff there. That was about $16,000. We also added 2 new criminal attorney positions. That was $250,000. We had rollover of prior year expenditures. So these were items that have been previously approved in budgets, 2020 budget for most of them, and that we just didn't get them finished by the end of the year due to COVID and various other reasons. And so we're just requesting the ability to continue to spend that money in 2021 that's already funded. There's no additional draw from additional funds. This is just spending what we had already authorized to spend in prior years. That totals about $1.1 million, and you can see the various projects that are listed on there. And then we did have a couple of other things come through, $580,000 of repairs to the library system for the earthquake damage. That's being funded by insurance. We had some additional equipment from CSI that's also being funded by contributions from the cities. $50,000 to increase the internet connection at the Golden Spike Arena. An Upper Valley sewer study for about $85,000 and repairs to the Wildwood Bridge for about $140,000. So these are all adjustments that we've needed to make to the 2021 operating and capital budget. So unless you have any other questions for me, I'd present that to you.
Great. Commissioners, questions for Mr. Park? Hearing none? Thank you. Great. We'll move on now to item number 5. Are there any public comments? We'll start with online. Christy, no online. In the hall, any public comments relating to the 3 items that were just presented in our public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the public comment portion of this, and I am requesting a motion to adjourn our public hearing and reconvene a public meeting. Commissioners, either one of you?
So moved.
The motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're now on item number 7, which is action on the public hearing. Item number, I want to say that I2 is a request for, I'm going to make that, maybe that would be 12. Is it 12? No, because it doesn't have the little hat on the top of the one. Look down at lot 14. It's I2. Well, I know that's not an H. I've been looking at H's my whole life, and that little number before the 2 is not an H, Fatima. Okay. Item number
12.
Maybe.
Well, it's anyway. At the chair's discretion, I'm going to say I2. Request for approval to vacate a public utility easement located along the side property line of Lot 14, Snowflake Subdivision Phase 3. It says presenter Steve Burton, but we can take action on that unless there's any questions for Mr. Burton.
I think he's done a great job of explaining it, Mr.
Great.
Chair. So I would make the motion to approve to vacate the public utility easement located on the side property line of Lot 14, Snowflake Subdivision, Phase 3, as presented by Mr. Steve Burton.
Thank you very much. I have a motion. Hearing no second, I'll make a second to that motion. And call for the vote. All in favor?
It's a roll call.
It's a roll. I wouldn't. Thank you.
Commissioner Faur,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins,
Aye.
and Chair Harvey.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number I3 is a request for approval to vacate the 10-foot public utility easement located on both sides of the shared lot line between lots 2 and 3 Sundance Ridge Subdivision, EV 2021-4. Discussion? Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Second.
Motion and second. Fatima?
Commissioner Faur,
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Jenkins, and Chair Harvey.
Aye. Thank you, Fatima. Item number I4, as it appears on under H7, a request for approval of a resolution amending the operating and capital budget of Weber County for the 2021 calendar year as presented by Scott Park. Commissioners, any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion. I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Fatima?
Commissioner Faur,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins, and Chair Harvey.
Aye. Motion carries. Commissioners, great work today and timely. Comments for item I, we're on India on our agenda. Commissioner comments,
Mr. Chair?
please.
So if you noticed on that agenda, we had last item on there was the Wildwood Bridge.
I missed that. I missed it on my printed agenda, Commissioner. That's what I was going off of. I'm sorry.
No, it's on there.
It's there.
I just wanted to call your attention that you need to stop by and look at that bridge now. It's all done and it's pretty and
it's curing, right?
It's curing. They got foot traffic on it, and it really makes you happy that we're out of that commitment. That should have never happened, but
Yeah, I wonder who did that.
I know his uncle, but he did, and the
How many years ago, though?
oh, I don't know how long ago, but probably 50.
It's in the 70s. Late
It happened in the 70s, so nearly 50 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, they agreed to it, and we fulfilled their commitment. And we've notified those folks that there is no commitment from here on out. But still, that's a really nice bridge, a really good job the contractor did, and I couldn't be happier. That's the first comment. Second comment is, did you notice as you walked in this morning that the parking lot out back has been laid down? And it's being compacted, we're just waiting for somebody to come paint some lines, right? That's right. So, whoopee.
Wow, good news.
Yeah, good news.
Seems like just yesterday it closed up.
No, it doesn't. Seems like last fall.
Oh.
It's been a long time.
Did we ever have a parking lot there?
We got one there. Anyway, it's taken a long time. It's done now. And so if we get the lines in, we'll be pretty much through with the whole.
Yes.
Good.
Great. Any comments from you, Commissioner Frohr?
Well, I probably need to make one or two. So I drive by that bridge at least a couple times a day, hopefully not more than that. And I've kind of seen the good part and the bad part. But yeah, it's a great looking bridge. But the next time you go by there, and after you look at that bridge, I draw your attention to what I call the flood rock that you gentlemen know very much about. And notice where the water level is on that flood rock today versus where it was a year ago.
Oh,
And
you couldn't see the rock.
Couldn't see the rock. It was over the top of the rock by at least 6 inches. So it would just be a reminder for those listening online and for us that I don't expect we're going to have a heavy runoff and that we're going to have to look at water conservation this year, and the time to start is now. And so for those that pay attention to water conservation, which I think we all need to, by the way, this is going to be one of those years that we should pay attention to it. So that's my comments.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
And if you don't believe me, go check out the flood rock. We don't need all these fancy scientists. We have a rock that tells us how much water we have. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Chair?
I learned
Yeah.
from when you showed me personally that the flood rock is a big rock in the middle of the Ogden River, and it's the rock. It's a rock that's nearly the size of this room, maybe about I'd say 10 feet wide, maybe.
Probably 8 to 10 feet.
It's a huge rock, and the water comes down the Ogden River, and when that rock is nearly underwater, then you know floods are happening. And if it's not underwater, in fact, you can see the whole thing now.
Oh, yeah.
In conjunction with that, we were out at the Great Salt Lake, and I've never, ever in my entire life seen the Great Salt Lake receded so far. It's almost that. It is just, there's more shoreline and beach area than I've ever remember seeing ever as a boy, and just unbelievable. So much shoreline that you can easily see the buffalo out on the beach. Big dark dot, hump, land mass right in the middle of the beach. You don't want to walk up to them, by the way, just in case. Is that true?
I wouldn't advise it.
Okay. Okay, well, there's no other comments.
Hold on.
All right.
Can I?
Please. Yeah, you bet.
So, Chair Frohr brought this up. I kind of want to comment on this. So, I'm on the Weber Basin Board, and we had our meeting last Thursday, and it was reported to us in that meeting that normally you have in the spring high water, flood, high water, and low water. Well, this year there's nothing but low water. 35% of the snowpack is gone, and the flow in the river was unmeasurable. So it just went into the ground. It just literally went into the dry dirt. The ground is so dry. And they said in there that two things happen that have never happened in the history of their existence. First of all is on April 15th, we opened the gates at Echo Reservoir to start releasing water. They've never done that on April 15th because there's always been enough excess water that you can get a month or 6 weeks out of it. Not this year. Second thing was that they are, on April 15th, they started pumping Willard Bay. And that's never happened on the 15th of April. We always get a lot of excess water in there, and this year there's no excess water. So, Commissioner Frohr, you are dead on. This is the year that we need to pay attention to what we're doing.
You know, I'd like you just, not to belabor the meeting, but I asked the question, you know, we had a heavy amount of rain a week ago Monday. A lot. And you've been to that meeting since, and I asked you that question. Well, didn't that help at all? And go ahead with your response.
Well, once again, it wets the soil, and it helps much right there. Almost, they said at that meeting, we asked that question, the guy said, you know, if we had 10 of those, we might be able to notice it a little. But he said one just isn't enough. Yeah, we need 10 of those. So we need a wet spring. And, you know, frankly, we got a little rain the other day. We just need to have a cool, wet spring. But we asked our water manager about that, and he says, frankly, right now, I just as soon have a hot spring to get the runoff in the reservoirs. Because the longer it goes, the longer that it doesn't hit the reservoir. It ends up going in the ground, evaporating, and doing other things. So I don't know, that's debatable still.
I haven't thought of that.
But, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, you're welcome. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for item J, Juliet.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Motion?
Juliet?
That's the phonetic word for J.
I'll second that.
Motions.
Juliet. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.